Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Wake Up Call. I'm Dr. Jeff LaCure, master's degree of social work, doctorate in psychology, author of several books, including a couple that I have here today, one on coaching female athletes and one on really what it's like to grow up as an adoptee. Really powerful book. Hopefully you'll check them out. And I'll give you some information on that a little bit later. But today I want to talk to you about a question that was actually submitted to me. And if you have any questions, you can submit those directly to my email, which is lacurej@yahoo.com, or even to my website, good old www.drjefflacure. And I'll certainly, if I don't use it on air, I'll absolutely make sure I respond to it. I really want to take advantage of the fact that you have reached out to me, so I'm going to give you some kind of response. And I also want to mention that my private practice is in beautiful downtown Holliston, Massachusetts. Specialize really in working with couples. I do a lot of work with teenagers. We're going to talk about teenagers specifically today, and really help people kind of overcome challenges in their life and really be able to take charge of their life. And I got this question just a couple of days ago. I was going to do something on relationships today, and then I realized, nah, you know what? This has to happen today. So I bring you this one the day before Valentine's Day. I wanted to do something on relationships because Valentine's Day is coming, and a lot of you men out there I know are going to stop at 6:30 at a CVS and show your partner how much you love her. And nothing says, hey, I love you, like a $2.99 Hallmark card and $12 of a bouquet of roses at CVS. By the way, CVS not a sponsor, but guys, you got to up your game. We're going to talk about something real serious today, however. I got this question. A mom reached out, and I could tell there's some desperation to her question. She said, Dr. Jeff, my daughter is really just glued to her phone 24/7. And the last several months, she has really seemed just not herself. She seems either depressed or irritable all the time. She mentioned that her daughter is currently 16 years old. And her big question is, how do I get my daughter off her cell phone? And I'm going to tell you, folks, some of this isn't going to be pretty because I'm not going to challenge the teenagers to get off their cell phone. I'm challenging you as parents to get off their cell phone. These are great for communication. These are lousy for a lot of other things, and we're going to talk about really what's going on because we have a gross epidemic of people in our country are addicted to their cell phones. So to this parent and to all the parents out there wondering what my response will be, I'm going to start with this. Would you give a 10-year-old a loaded gun, unsupervised? Would you give a 10-year-old crack cocaine? Would you give your 10-year-old the opportunity to walk into any liquor store and pick out any alcohol that he or she might want? Of course not. And you know why? Because you're a good parent. Because you understand that crack cocaine isn't safe for your 10-year-old. You understand that a loaded gun isn't safe for your 10-year-old. But guess what? You're giving your children this. And I'm not going to say it's the same as a loaded gun, but it's damn close. I'm not going to say it's the same as drinking a fifth of gin or vodka, but it's damn close. And you would never give your child crack cocaine, yet you give them this highly addictive substance that the makers of these, the maker of Facebook, knew that their products were addictive, and yet you give them to them. So here's what I'm going to say. It's short and it's sweet, and then I'm going to ramble. If you give a child a cell phone before the age of 16, that's right, before the age of 16, without supervision, with unlimited apps that allows them to use TikTok, that allows them to use social media other than texting and email, I'm going to tell you flat out, and you're not going to like hearing this because I know everybody watching this has done it. You're not a good parent. Matter of fact, you're an atrocious parent, you have just given your child crack cocaine. And then you wonder why he or she doesn't talk with you anymore. Why every time you go out to a restaurant, they have their cell phone on the table or in their lap. And you know why they have their cell phone in front of them? Because you have your cell phone in front of them. So guess what? Not only have we raised a generation of young people who are addicted to this device, you as parents are addicted to your device. Out there in podcast land, raise your hand if you use your cell phone to wake up in the morning. If you set your alarm via your cell phone. And I can see all 7 of my viewers. Hopefully we'll get up to 8. Being a little sarcastic there. We got more than that. I see your arms, I see your hands, and they're waving, and they're going, yeah, I do it, I use it. And I can hear some of you grumbling going, but Jeff, how am I going to wake up? I'll tell you how you wake up. You go to the cheapest store you could find, and you buy a wind-up alarm clock. You put it across the way, and you set it for 6 or 7 or whatever time you get up, and that will wake you up. But the first thing most people do is their cell phone wakes them up, and then they go to their social media accounts, and they check and see who texts, and they check and see who emailed, and then really sadly, here's the crack cocaine, they check and see, did I get any likes on Instagram? Did I get any likes on my Facebook page? Did anybody send me a snap? I don't even know what the hell that is, but anything that says snap to me doesn't sound good. So yeah, this mom, who I assume is really a great person, and actually I have no doubt loves her daughter, has given her daughter crack cocaine. Cell phones are dangerous. Let me highlight why. And I'll hold it out again. Just thrilled to do it, by the way. There are many computers. They're not even phones anymore. I don't even know how many people use them to talk to people anymore, quite frankly. They use them for other things. There are many computers. And here's some irrefutable statistics. By the time a girl is in 6th grade, 80% of them have seen very hardcore pornography on their phone. By the time a girl is 12 years old, 75% of 12-year-old girls report that they've had a boy request nude pictures of them. I should stop the podcast right there, because if that doesn't frighten you, I don't know what else will. I don't want to date myself, but you know what? There was a different time. You didn't have to worry about the kids were going to be exploited because of their phone. And it's become the norm that 12-year-old girls and younger think it's okay to do a selfie of themselves naked. It's almost an expectation. And we wonder then why adolescent girls' depression has increased dramatically over the last 5 years. Some studies suggest that in just the last 2 years, female adolescent depression has gone up 42%. Seems like men or young men's depression, adolescent depression, has gone up about 25%. So there's no question the pandemic played a significant role because we locked down kids. But I'm going to tell you, parents, please don't be silly. Don't be foolish. Why would you ever get your child a cell phone? Why? What 10-year-old, that's the average age of the first cell phone, what 10-year-old needs a cell phone? Why? Please, if somebody wants to come on my show and debate it, I'll debate you on it. Why does a 10-year-old need it? You know, one excuse I heard was, well, what if I need to reach my child when they're at school? I guess you do what my mom and dad did. They called the front office, and then I got embarrassed during lunch. Would Jeff LaCure please come to the main office? Your mom has dropped off your lunch, and she wants to deliver a message. So see, there's always a way to reach people. Our kids don't need cell phones. And to all you cell phone addicts out there, you drive me nuts. I almost hate going to a restaurant now. You know why? Because this is what I see parents doing with their children all the time. You are so busy, mom and dad, with your head in the cell phone that you don't even make eye contact with your child anymore. And please don't lie and go, no, I don't do it. I guarantee it, if I asked you to raise your hand right now, how many of you viewing this podcast bring your cell phone into a restaurant? It's 99.9% of you. Guess who never brings their cell phone into a restaurant? That's right, this guy. Why? Because I'm healthy. Why? Because I'm a shrink and I'm trying to help others get healthy. So it's sort of like an alcoholic who tells somebody, hey, don't drink, but I'm going to go out and drink. I want you to know I practice what I preach. And the only reason this lousy device is next to me is so I can use it as a prop. Frequently, I leave it at home. Because you know what? If someone can't reach me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe they could reach me at 7 o'clock when I'm home. But no, that's not what we're asking children to do. And it has gotten so bad out there, and any of you as parents are doing it, you are not demonstrating good parenting. You should be embarrassed and ashamed. I see 2-year-old kids. I was at an Applebee's. Not a sponsor, they should be. The other day, a kid that looked to be 2 years old was on a cell phone like this, and they had a little cartoon, and I'm watching them with their finger navigating it. But you know what that child wasn't doing? That child wasn't engaged with their parents. And you know how children bond? They bond through touch, they bond through sound, and they bond through sight. And we have put electronic devices in front of young children. We have put, I don't even know what they're called, but Kindles, and they have them there. You see kids in a store, in a stroller, and they have their electronic device. It's become babysitting. So here's my message to you parents. If you have a kid, and he or she is 10 years old, and you've given them a cell phone, please stop having children. Seriously, stop doing it. Actually, you know what? Have more kids. I take that back. Have more children. You, the mom or dad of that 2-year-old who you're giving your cell phone to, have 3 more kids. Please have 3 more kids. You know why? Because that's future business for me as a shrink. Because then I get to deal with the 13-year-old or the 14-year-old or the 15-year-old or the 16-year-old who's depressed. And you know why they're depressed? Because they posted something on Instagram and they only got 4 likes. So guess what they do? They post again, and they post again, and they post again. And every time that they check to see how many likes they get, their brain stops producing as much serotonin. And without serotonin, we don't feel good. If you want to boost your serotonin, go outside and enjoy the sunshine. If you want to boost your serotonin, have a great conversation with someone you love. If you want to boost your serotonin, make out with somebody that you're really attracted to. If you want to boost your serotonin in a healthy way, go to the gym. But you know how kids are trying to boost their serotonin? They're posting stuff on TikTok. By the way, TikTok, owned by the Chinese government, makes real sense to me to have a 10-year-old post a almost shirtless video of herself on TikTok. Wow. If I seem heated, I am. Why? Because this is what I do for a living when I'm not coaching, when I'm not a father, is I help people try to battle depression. And moms and dads, guess why they're depressed? You. Because you're addicted to your cell phone. Because you can't put your cell phone down. Because when your child's talking to you, you have this cell phone in front of your face. So guess what? Do I question that you love your child? No, I don't. But I question how you show it. I question how you show it. So the original question is, how do I get my child off their cell phone? Can I show you? Let me show you. Here I am, 16-year-old girl, and I'm on my cell phone, and it's 11:30 at night, and I'm wondering why she can't sleep. Guess what? My producer's name is Michelle Hebshe, so I'm going to use the name Michelle, okay? Because I like to say Michelle as much as I can because she does an awesome job for this entire production. If my daughter's name is Michelle and she's on the cell phone at 11:30, she has lost that privilege. And don't use the excuse, parents, well, all the other kids are on their cell phone and my daughter's going to be left out. Your daughter's depressed. Your daughter is in my office or some other shrink's office. Please don't use that excuse that she's going to be isolated. No, you lead the assault on really bad parenting by demonstrating good parenting. Limit your daughter's or your son's amount of time to the cell phone and check and see what they're looking at. This is a privilege, not a right. It is crushing our young people's spirit. It is absolutely crushing because, again, they would rather, I love this. You'll see 4 teenagers at the mall, which used to be kind of a cool place, unless, of course, your mom or dad, you give them their debit card. But that's a different podcast. And there'll be 4 kids at the food court, and instead of talking to each other, they're texting somebody else who's not even there, which tells you how they feel about the value of the people who are there. No wonder they're depressed. No wonder they're depressed. Here's a study that came out of Stanford University. Not a sponsor, but my understanding is pretty good higher ed. They actually surveyed college males. And do you know what they found? A third, 33% of college males would rather watch pornography on an electronic device than actually have sex with a live human being. Let me restate the absurdity of that. They would rather watch pornography on some sort of electronic device, a third, rather than have sex with an actual person. Yeah, that was my dramatic pause because I want that to sink in because people don't know how to communicate with each other anymore unless it's over a cell phone. Unless it's I'm typing something. And you know what? How self-indulgent and self-important have we raised our children to be where this is what they do? Now let me see if I can do it. I'm going to pretend. I don't even know how to do it well, and I guess I've taken a few selfies over the years. Why? Because I have no social life, so I was looking for something to do. But every single moment, hey, I just had a green bean. I'm going to take a selfie. Hey, I'm standing outside of the mall. Hey, I just got up this morning. Hey, I'm sending you a message because I'm in a restaurant. And we take a picture, and we take a picture, and we do a dumb little, and we do the tongue, and we do the fish lips, and we do the hand on the hip, and we do all the weird stuff now. And yet we have parents who wonder, why is my daughter depressed? I'll tell you why she's depressed. Because you didn't do your job. You didn't do your job. I want all parents to get a journal, just like this one. And I want you to log every day, how much time you interact with your child without electronics. And then I want you to log how much time your child spends on electronics without interacting with someone face to face. And you know what? Your log is going to be brief. You're not going to have much written down. And sadly, you know what you're going to talk about? Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? Yeah, great. Great question to ask a kid, by the way. Of course they have homework. Did you do your homework? How about asking them, hey, who'd you sit with at lunch today? How about asking them, who'd you talk to today? Who'd you make a connection with today? Who you thinking about inviting over for a sleepover, right? But no. We love texting our kids now. I'm telling you, I'm beyond frustrated, and I know I'm going to leave. This is Monday, February 13th. I'll take my girlfriend out for Valentine's Day. Why? Because nothing quite says I love you like a dinner on the same day that everybody celebrates. Different podcast. If you really love somebody, you'll do something special for them on another day. Why? Just because. Not because it's Valentine's Day, but because you actually care and love them. Back to the point. I know I'm going to go out to eat, and I know I'm going to survey the room, and I know I'm going to see people on their cell phones. And we have a generation now, and you as parents are part of this generation, who are flat out addicted to the device. You can't live without your device. Raise your hand if this is you. Left my cell phone at home, pulled out of the driveway, and I turned around and got it. That's you. Why? Why? Please don't tell me so that somebody can reach you in case of emergency. I'm at the studio right now. Let's just say I forgot my cell phone. I kind of wish I did, but I needed it as a prop. Should have borrowed Michelle's cell phone, but I didn't. I wanted to use mine. The people who love and care about me, they know I'm at the Milford studio today. And the Milford studio actually has a public phone number. And there's actually people here at the studio who would answer that phone and say, hey, is Jeff LaCure here? We have an emergency. So don't give me the excuses that you need your cell phone. You don't. You don't even need the internet. It's a convenience. You don't need Facebook, not a sponsor. You don't need Twitter, not a sponsor, right? You don't need it. What you need is the opportunity to be able to sit and to talk with somebody. So yes, we now have a generation of boys and girls, and adolescent girls and boys, are teenagers who are now depressed, who struggle to get out of bed, who struggle to wake up in the morning, whose bodies crave processed foods because their brain is producing such little serotonin. You know what, folks? The amount of young people, this has been researched at all the higher institutions of learning, who have had suicidal thoughts, and I mean this sincerely when I say this, folks. This bothers me to share it with you, but I'm going to share it with you. Who have had suicidal thoughts because they noticed on someone else's social media page they got 3,000 likes, but she only got 300. And they actually frequently will have suicidal thoughts because what's the point in living? No one cares. So parents, don't get your child a cell phone at all before the age of 16. You know what's actually okay? Old school flip phones. Old school flip phones that allows them to call you. You can call them. Their friends can call them after school, right? Old school, it's so beautiful. You flip it up. There's no internet. There's no access to social media. I don't even need, do you need texting? And so if you want them to be able to have a phone, they can use it at home for a specific amount of time with your supervision. But I'm going to challenge you all right now as parents. Get rid of your cell phone. You don't need it. You don't need it. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I want you to use your cell phone more. To all the married couples, please go to dinner and bring your cell phones and leave it on the table. And when your husband finally is emotional and he shares something that's on his mind, I want you to look down at your cell phone. I want you to actually text somebody while he's being emotional and telling you how he feels. You want to know why? Because you're going to make an appointment with me. And this will be the voicemail. Hi, Dr. Jeff. I saw your podcast, or I got your name from a family friend, and my marriage is crumbling, and I was calling to see if you might have some time to help me and my husband work on our marriage. Cell phones, social media are destroying relationships. They're not helping to build relationships. Now, I hope some of you will reach out and say, Jeff, I was disgusted that you told me I'm not a good parent because Becky and Stevie have a cell phone. No, what I'm telling you is you're not a good parent because you don't know what Becky and Stevie are doing with their cell phone. You have contributed to their lower sense of self, their lower self-esteem, and their increase in depression. So let me sum it up to you so that we're clear. Yeah, if I sound a little self-righteous, a little indignant, I am. I see it in my office every day, folks. This isn't anecdotal. Step one, do not buy your child ever a cell phone before the age of 16. And then if you do, wait until at least 18 before you don't monitor it anymore. 2, make sure that you know who your son and daughter are talking to. So you have to understand on these chat rooms and all these little social media things, Not everybody's a 15-year-old girl, but a 58-year-old dude named Ralph from Mississippi who has the self-esteem of a goldfish who loves to prey on young children. 3, why would you ever allow your daughter or your son to have TikTok as a 10 or 12 or 13 or 15-year-old kid? Why? So they could post a little cute video of them dancing with half their butt cheek hanging out or so much cleavage? Okay, feel free. Wait, let me change my mind. Please encourage your young children to have a TikTok account that you don't supervise, because I guess technically, as I'm starting to think more about retirement and I have to make sure I fund my Roth well and my 401, yeah, keep doing that. Keep doing that. So you have to understand the goal of my profession, the goal of mental health, this is why I love being part of it, is to be unemployed. That's the goal. That's the goal. To never be needed anymore. And you know what? I kid you not. Every day I get an email or my phone rings. And it usually starts with, I'm desperate. I'm desperate because their child has fallen prey to social media. Their child has fallen prey to cell phones. Their child has fallen prey to the fact that even if they're in school, they're on a notebook at all times. God, where's the lost art of just teaching and mentoring and leading our lives by example? 4, and this might be the most important tip I'll give you all day, you got to start having meals together as a family again. You know, as annoying as it was back in the day, Sundays, particularly Sunday afternoon, regardless of your spirituality or lack thereof, was a big family meal time, and you never scheduled anything else. And extended family members and sometimes loving guests were invited. And it was a big deal. You would go to somebody's house or you would host it, or even if it was just your immediate family, but you had family dinner. I tell you right now, it doesn't exist. Family dinners don't exist. I can't tell you the amount of times I hear from families that they're eating 3 separate meals, that a child is in front of a TV or an electronic device being babysat by an electronic device while they're eating a can of ravioli. And yet we wonder why our kids are disconnecting emotionally from the world, and we wonder why they're depressed. You need to have family meals 2 or 3 times a week. Here's what happens, scientifically proven, for young people when they eat with their families 2 or 3 times a week. Eating disorders almost never happen with families who eat well together. Think about that one. As eating disorders and body dysmorphia continues to rise in young people and is rising really fast in boys. When you eat as a family, you reduce the likelihood greatly. It almost turns to 0 of an eating disorder or body dysmorphic disorder. Do you know what else goes down almost tenfold? The likelihood that your child will get depressed. Because you know what family meals are? It's where we catch up with each other. It's where we laugh. It's where we share a funny story. It's maybe where we challenge our children to be better people. Maybe we talk about something in current events. Maybe we talk about something in our own childhood. But this is where we challenge our children to be better people. This is where we tell them, not in our words, but through our actions, that they're important. Please don't give me the bullshit. Please. Seriously. I don't want you to watch again if you're going to give me bullshit. Don't give me the bullshit about your job schedule. Don't do it. Get a different job. Seriously. Don't give me the bullshit that I got to do this or I got to do that, or that my child's coming home from soccer practice. No, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm sick of excuses. The world's going down the toilet because of excuses. You need to have family meals 2 or 3 times a week. You need to find out what your young people are doing. You need to be part of their lives. Most important part of being a parent is show up. You need to show up. Stop letting this parent your child. I'll leave you with this one. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. And next week I am going to talk to you about healthy relationships. But bottom line is mental health professionals are overwhelmed right now. The wait list is crazy. And you at home have to begin to take accountability You have to. And you have to lead by example. So don't just yank your cell phone today from your 15-year-old son or daughter, which you should do, by the way. Make sure you yank it from yourself first. Never ask your children to do something that you're not prepared to do. Remember last week when I told you the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is so that I can be your wake-up call, so that you don't get the phone call, or that your child doesn't call you in crisis, or that your child's school doesn't call you in crisis, or a family member doesn't call you in crisis. Here's your wake-up call. Put this away. Detox from it. Decide that there's a better way to interact. Stop posting selfies of yourself having breakfast. Let me be clear. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you had for breakfast. Nobody cares that you're at Neiman Marcus and you bought a new outfit. You know what people care about? People care about, are you happy? People care about, do you have somebody who loves and respects you? See, social media isn't true. Most people do one of two things on social media. Oh, life is great. I've never had a better day in my life. Well, we know that's not true. Or they use it as their platform to be the victim. Check out a lot of your friends' accounts, and they talk about being the victim. And you know what? People are tired of hearing about being victims. And I want you to be tired of raising your children to be victims. And quite frankly, a lot of our parents in this country have raised their children to be the victim of depression and low self-esteem and really poor body image. And I'm going to stand up today and tell you, you need to stop. I hope today was your wake-up call. I'm not going to apologize for the seriousness and the tone. I hope if I just reached one person who will have a different relationship with this device and a different relationship with social media, I've done my job. And if you do your job, I'll never meet you. If you do your job, I'll never meet your child. I'm going to repeat that. If you do your job as a parent, I'm never going to meet you. Never. And if you do your job as a parent, I'll never meet your son or daughter. You will never call me and say, hey, Dr. LaCure, I'm desperate. This is your wake-up call. It comes to you with great hope, great peace, and a little bit of grace. I hope you take this to heart. I look forward to seeing you next week.